Hi, good morning, Renee. Good morning, Christo.
Good morning.
I just want to say that you were talking about Islamophobia earlier on, and I was sort of thinking to myself, how I think it might be a natural state of mind, because if you think that now in our country, I mean, I'm from London, I'm 47, I grew up in SE21, and when I was a kid, people weren't beaming messages on our Houses of Parliament. We didn't have anti-Jewish and anti-British marches in London. We hadn't imported FGM, honour killing, sham marriage, suicide bombing, the full veil, grooming gangs, all from the Islamic third world. And I think for the past 20 or 30 years, we've been telling our government that we didn't want illegal immigration at all, and we wanted legal immigration cut down to extremely low numbers, because we know on the ground that this is what it leads to. Now the MPs' lives are in danger and they're being harassed, they're kind of catching up with the public. We've seen the degradation. When I was a kid in London in the early 80s, if someone got stabbed or shot, my whole family gathered around the TV. Oh my God, someone got stabbed in Camberwell. It was a shock. Yeah. Now it happens 3 times a day and we don't pay any attention. So we've seen the degradation. We've seen third world immigration ruin the country. If we're looking at crime, for argument's sake, right? Homogenous countries, if you look at the Eurostat figures, homogenous countries have the least amount of crime. So Slovenia, Slovakia, Hungary. I think Poland's got the least amount of crime with the least amount of immigration. You can take examples like Japan. Homogenous countries tend to be more unified, tend to have less crime. I think most people in this country are living in a country they didn't want or ask for or vote for.
Do you think, where has that come from? Do you think that it's come from... because I've had arguments about this with friends who said, well, actually, you have to blame partly the state for that, because if the state doesn't sanction, if the state doesn't facilitate people integrating and being part of an overriding culture, an overriding feeling of belonging in the UK, then there is some responsibility with the people who move here, but there's also a big responsibility on the state for allowing that to happen. What would you say to that?
Well, I'd say if you were an adult before 1997, which I was in my mid to late teens, I think after that date when Blair got in and intentionally rubbed the noses of the right in diversity, I think after that point, what we invented was multiculturalism, which is a complete lie. What we should be saying at the door, there's 2 factors. Number 1, at the door, this is Britain, this is how we operate. If you don't like it, you don't have to live here, okay? And I think the sheer volumes of people... we were talking about maybe a quarter added to the population since the early 90s. I mean, if you think about it this way, in 1951, if you look at the census results, 98.8% of the British public were Christian, spoke English as a first language, and were white. Okay, and in less than one man's lifetime, we've had our country completely changed before our eyes, and most people didn't want or ask for it.